record. Make sure we're recording. Nothing worse than doing all this work.
Recording on my end.
Yes, it does. I've just clicked it now. Read the numbers. Okay. So we should be live, or we should be just about live.
It says we are. It says we are on my screen.
Yeah, just taking a second. So looking down to make sure on the page of Facebook. That's okay. I'm sure nobody needs to hear me singing, but that's all right. That's a whole other thing.
Well, they might enjoy it.
I don't think so. I inherited my darling mother's voice. Not my father's. My father was an amazing singer, but my poor mom wasn't. That's enough of it.
I love it.
So welcome to Morgan Holmes from Unlocking You today. We've just come off another interview. So this is interview number 2 today into some different groups, but also to go wherever. So I'd love to welcome you, Morgan, and thank you very much for taking the time out to sit with me today.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. So we're going to talk a little bit more about kind of businessy stuff, if you like, here on this interview. But I know I asked you on the last one, but let's refresh and just give us a bit of a business-wise perspective on who Morgan was and her transition to who she is now.
Yep. Okay. So basically, I've been 30 years experience, big chunk of that in a corporate land, working in large corporates, doing all sorts of different commercial things. So whether that was human resources or business planning, business analysis, like financial modeling, marketing, project management, change management, organizational transformation, leadership development. All of those things in a corporate setting.
Just a little bit.
I am a generalist. And I would have said, up until 5 years ago, probably a generalist, jack of all trades, master of none. So, which is really cool because I really like doing different things. I have experience with all sorts of different people, from, people working in different trades through to executive managers of large corporations. So that's really cool. And then about 7 or 8 years ago, I was doing some work with a senior leadership program and a business transformation, and I came across this program they were running, and I thought, that's what I want to do when I grow up. So I'm in my early 50s now, so that would have been roughly my mid-40s. So it's really handy to find out what you want to do when you grow up, when you're in your mid-40s. I think I'm quite lucky. It's not unusual. But the other thing, so what I would say is that all of that experience up to that point, there were a few common things. One was I was always drawn to helping people be the best they can be through coaching, mentoring, leading, all that sort of stuff. The other thing was that I was once again drawn to, enjoyed and did a good job with working with groups, whether that's in running projects or leading teams or running workshops, induction days, all the things you do. And the other thing was that I tend to find solutions. I'm a problem solver. That's just what I do. That's the way my brain works. So more recently, as I said, I saw that thing and went, that's what I want to do when I grow up. And that was all around creating personal transformation and team transformation. And the reason I liked it was it wasn't about certain skills. It was going beneath the waterline. So I've basically taken all of that, and that's what my business is around small business growth and personal growth. And I call it Your Growth Your Way, because basically I see lots of things where there's these massive programs and I go, but hang on a minute. Often people then feel overwhelmed because they go, but I can't take all that in. So I focus on helping small businesses in terms of their, whether it's personal or business stuff, and we put together the right bits at the right time. Does that cover what you wanted?
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So when you say that, so who is Morgan today that's different from who she was?
I am far more comfortable in my own skin. Yeah. I am I'm trying to think that question. How am I different from who I was? I'm doing stuff I love. Work doesn't feel like work 90% of the time. I trust my intuition, whereas in the past I might dismiss it. And I'm much better at saying no or no, not now. I'm ready, willing to be seen.
Yeah, beautiful. I love it. So how, tell me about the journey into business, as in business for yourself. How has easy, hard, whatever word you want to put on it, how has that been for you to transition from the corporate, from doing all that? And we know there's certain rules, albeit sometimes invisible rules around that, to transition into being and growing your own business. How was that?
Bloody hard.
Don't hold back there, Morgan.
I won't. But anyone who knows me knows what you see is what you get. So I worked as an employee for a long time, and then I worked as a consultant or contractor for a long time. So I had my own business as such. But I was working through existing contacts for a couple of major corporates. So I thought I had a bit of an idea about running my own small business. I had no idea. I was completely naive, misinformed. And I just thought, you know what, I'm reasonably smart. I can find solutions. I'm not stupid. I can do this. But I had no idea around marketing, branding, copy, just any of it. So why is it really hard? Because I didn't actually ask for the help that I needed.
Yeah.
Like 5 years ago or 4 years ago when I should.
And of all those things, what do you think was the biggest learning, the biggest jump?
Well, that's a good question. Look, I think it is really understanding, this, I laugh now because I thought build it and they will come. Yeah, doesn't work, does it?
We hear that so often and it does not work. Who is it? But there's some courses that actually say to you, oh, don't worry about that. Just build your dream and they'll come. Oh my God. No, stop it. Yeah.
So it is probably that part of advertising and marketing, or whether you want to call it marketing, advertising, promoting, whatever you call it. But getting your business out there in a form that your target market will see it and then choose to go, oh, let's go work with her. That, because the corporate world taught me nothing. I didn't need to know about it, branding or...
No, because you were in employee mode, as you said. They did that. You just did the work.
And I didn't have to find the work because I was using an existing network, although there are elements of that using your existing network, but it's totally different.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know for me, coming from employee to employer, it's more than just a word. It's kind of like, well, I'm still an employee now for myself. It's just the employer was no good at getting money for a while, and it's absolutely, it's a huge change. So you kind of said there about marketing and promoting and whatever word you want to put on it. And I'd love to ask you, so do you find them all the same thing and people just use a different word for it?
No, they are different. And I suppose the reason why I use that is that I haven't really done the thinking myself on what bits fit where. Right. So I understand there are different elements of, but I haven't really thought about it deeply. The other thing, if I can just add, in actual fact, probably the hardest thing I found was selling, was being able to value myself and place a correct value on myself, and then being able to do that, talk about that, do that confidently. That's probably the biggest barrier because I never had to do that at all. And that's probably the biggest one.
Which is interesting because like that, I was the same. It was like, oh, I don't want to sell. But when you think about it, every job we ever went for was actually selling. We sold ourselves into a job.
My problem was I went for one job when I was 21, right? I was in that role as either an employee or a contractor doing all sorts of different things. As we said, I was a generalist, but I did that for 20 years. I have only actually been for, I think, 3 proper job interviews.
Really? Wow.
Because I've done lots of other sorts of interviews within organisations, and I've interviewed lots of people. I've done graduate recruitment, I've done lots of interviewing. But because of the nature of what I did, and that I did move around, I was with one organisation, but doing different I changed roles every 2 years.
Yeah, yeah. Cool. Tell me then, and I know you haven't done deep thinking on it, but let's just throw it out there anyway. Tell me how would you define marketing, or how would you describe marketing to somebody?
How would I describe marketing is how do I put my business out there for my client to see it?
Okay. Because I have a different definition that it may help to clarify for you. Is marketing is everything you do before a sale. Everything.
Yeah.
Every conversation you have, everything.
Yep.
So how do you go about marketing your business right now? How are you going with that?
So how do I do that? I obviously have my Facebook page. I have my Instagram. I go and do I support my small business community. I get out there and do face-to-face networking. I run workshops for the local chambers of commerce in Swan and Mundaring, and I also support the local Boss Centre. So that's the business one-stop shop in Midland, once again, by running workshops there. So there's a lot, and I go to networking events and things like that. So social media, networking, what else do I do? Things like this. What else? My website. They're all of the, I do my email campaigns for my mailing list. Yeah.
So you'd work on a marketing campaign and structure it in as to what you're doing for whenever. I know you run events as well as speaking to a small business. I know that you run events. So just for example, if you're running a workshop or whatever like that, so what kind of marketing campaign do you put in structure for that?
For a workshop, then I would be using my mailing list. So I tend to have a newsletter once a month and then a specific promotion once a month in between. No. So I would do that. I would then think about the different Facebook groups that I might want to promote it on the relevant days. I would have posts on my own group, and as I said, I'd then share that into other groups. I would post in the event. I would put it on my website. What else do I do? And then if I'm doing any other promotions, like I said, through the different networks that I belong to, I would also make sure it was there as well.
Yeah. So it's because it's really important to have a marketing campaign. Like one thing that I didn't realize, I think many years ago, was that every single thing you do needs a separate marketing campaign. And you need to know kind of what your funnel is, so when they come in and where they go and what they do and what happens to them in all of those bits. So you're right. So tell me about in the business itself, how do you, and I know we asked this question slightly differently earlier, but how do you measure success in a business perspective?
Okay, so in a business perspective, so as we said earlier, for me, success is holistic, but if I'm focusing on the business piece of it, how would I measure it? It depends where you are at on your journey. So dollars is one piece, but I would also generally have lead indicators and lag indicators. So the lead indicators are what are the things that tell me I'm taking the right actions, that there is a stronger chance that I'm going to get the follow-on results that I'm looking for. And my lag indicators are things, which is after the event. So I would set goals and I would, and targets, and I like to set stretch targets. I believe shoot for the moon. You might not get there, but you'll get a whole lot further than if you didn't. And I will attach dollar goals as well as the other metrics, the drivers of those dollar goals. So, it might be how many networking events you go to. Maybe you decide to go to one a fortnight. We'll write that up and then see how you go. It might be what are the, targets, dollars, as well as actions is, and then, so how do I measure that success would be, have I achieved those? But also, sorry, just to remember, at the end of last year, I remember I was feeling really crap about my business because I was thinking, oh, I'm not getting the revenue I want. This is crap, blah, blah, blah. And then, no, it wasn't the end of last year. It was the end of the year before. Last year. I remember now. It's been a blur this year for me. It's been really,
it's been a blur this year, I think, for everybody.
So I'm allowed to get confused
Yes.
between the years. Anyway, I was feeling really bad because I wasn't getting the revenue goals that I was looking for. Okay. And then I went, hang on a minute, Morgan. Why did you get into this? Why did you decide to do this? And I said to myself, I decided to do this because, and this is simple, that I believe that we need to change the way our world works, and that requires a shift in consciousness so that people are no longer fear-based. They're no longer just reacting based on fear. And I know that's, as human beings, that's who we are, right?
In the last 6 months, that hasn't happened.
I know that. So, but this is my simple belief, right? And then, and then I go, but what can I do about that, right? And so if I can help my community become more aware and make changes and all of those things, then that's my part. So it's only a little bit, drop in the ocean, but every drop makes a difference. And then I said to myself was, well, okay, my community is small businesses. So how can I help them? Anyway, that was my goal. That was the why I was doing it. And I thought it got to end of last year feeling crap about financial goals. And then I went, well, hang on a minute. What have I done? At the beginning of this year, I said I wanted to be out there networking. I wanted to be part of my small business community. And I wanted to have things set up where I was running workshops for the Mundaring Chamber of Commerce and the Swan Chamber of Commerce. And that I had built those networks and things like that. And I looked back and went, you know what? You have done that. You are part
reflection
of
is really important.
Yeah. And you have got workshops set up for the new year. That was your goals, and you are making a difference. You are touching people through the workshops with the Boss Centre.
Absolutely. It's really important. I love reverse engineering anything I'm doing, but when I get there to actually reflect back as well and go, hang on, what goals did I have? It's like, oh my God. And I mean, we were the same. We had some huge goals of 2-day workshops and things like that, and COVID hit, and it's like, oh my God, the last 2-day workshop we did was face to face. So we said, how can we do this for 2 full days online? And you know what we did? And we increased it by 300%. It was like just phenomenal. It was like, because we have people from England, Ireland, over the Eastern States, everything. It was, and 2 full days, because you kind of think, oh, who wants to sit in front of the computer? But people are waiting, people are needing, and people are wanting that. So well done on actually getting to look back at that and realize what you had done. So I can't believe we're near the end of the time again, but I have 2 more questions for you. One is, what is the most powerful question that someone has ever asked you?
Oh, I know that's a bit tricky. The most powerful question. Now you've put me on the spot. That one requires thought. Powerful question. I think that it's one that I then ask myself often again. That's why it's powerful. Which is, and it's at a time when you're in crisis or in, something's not gone right.
It usually kind of stops you dead and you go, what?
Yeah, and the question is, where is the opportunity for your growth? And why that is, or, or something along those, what is the opportunity for growth from this? And why is that so powerful is because from then I've asked myself that question often. Yeah. That's why it's powerful.
And do you ask yourself that question, for example, in very challenging situations, shall we say?
Totally.
Yeah. It's okay, I want to kill people, but what's the opportunity for me to grow with this?
Yeah, exactly. So, whenever anything goes wrong, and the real key to this is what allows you to grow and transform, whether it's as a business or as an individual, doesn't matter. If you can, in the moment when it's just gone really ugly, in that moment, if you can and catch yourself before reacting or before spiraling downwards and say, hang on a minute, how's this perfect for my growth? That is the opportunity to reframe it. Because remember, we are the only ones who choose whether an event has a positive or a negative meaning. We choose it. No one else does. So if you
Yeah,
can
and
choose,
you're so right. You're so right. I've had 2 car accidents and done the same thing. Within a couple of seconds, kind of gone, okay, yeah, are you okay? I'm okay. It's only a car. We can deal with this. Because otherwise, the tendency could be, oh my God, I've had a car crash, but wait, this happened, blah, 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 which we're almost taught to do. You go into that drama cycle then, which leads nowhere fast other than going into a drama cycle, and you continue to come out of it a little bit and go back into it, and it's a whole cycle, but it's not conductive to any growth whatsoever.
definitely.
So if you could start all over again, and I know this is a big question, but if you could start all over again, what would you do differently?
We're talking about my business.
Yeah.
Just wanted to narrow that.
Yeah, because it's a big, huge question. Other than
I
that,
could start everything again. Okay, actually, I've actually thought about that recently, because during COVID, I did take the time to go, well, hang on a minute, where am I at? What do I want to do differently? La la la, and got real much clearer in the last month about a bunch of things. So that's been really cool. What would I do differently? I would ask for help. Yeah. And I would set myself an investment budget, as in I would say to myself, what is the capital I am going to invest in my business? And I would find the right coach or support that. So I'm not saying necessarily a coach forever, but find the right support and have, probably it's for me choosing that in the capital that I wanted to invest in the business. Yeah. That is what I would do differently. Those two things. Invest in self.
Absolutely. I would totally agree, to get a really good coach or mentor, because I do think that they are both very different, although people quite often use them interchangeably. I'm not too sure that I agree with that. And also, like something we've started, just for example, we have a membership, but it's a group of people that are all in the same frame of mind in terms of growth, that they want help, and then there's 3 mentors to help them there doing it. So to get into that kind of environment is really important, I think, as well, because otherwise you get your family and whoever, well-intentioned as they are, going, why are you doing that? Just go out and get a job. Are you crazy?
Yeah, exactly. I think, the mentor, and it might be different, a coach or different pieces in different places.
Yes.
But also, the other thing I would add on to that is I would get out there and talk to people sooner. I would go, because small business can be so lonely. And for me, coming from that corporate background where you've got your tribe almost, even if you don't really want them.
Even if you don't want them, yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, to actually get out of my own way and go and find where I belonged, and actually allow myself to belong to it.
Yeah, and I think that does take, you mentioned perhaps in the other interview, I'm not sure which one there, but you mentioned about courage earlier. And I think it is like, as kids, if we look at kids, like they make friends in the playground, they make friends, in the shops, they make friends everywhere. But as adults, we lose that. And you're right, you tend to be in a tribe, whatever tribe that is, in your work environment or whatever. To go out and make new friends is quite often takes a lot of courage to do that, because you're unsure of yourself, you're feeling not so whatever, and you have all of these assumptions that other people are going to think about you, because like they can see inside your mind, and they so can. My background is hospitality, which you can imagine. Oh my God, I had different people every day. I now, like, this is a green screen behind me, but I sit at home in an office in my home, which for somebody who loves connection was quite a big, disconnect for me. So I've had to go out, and if I'm honest, and you may be the same, in the last 10 years, to the people that I knew then and still keep in contact with closely now, less than on one hand.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I'm the same. But, I agree, it can be really hard. Now, a lot of people, when they get to know me, they go, oh, you must find networking really easy, all this sort of stuff. No, I've had to work at it. I'm naturally actually quite introverted in that sense. There's different aspects of it. So, but I do find going and meeting strange people, new people, really hard. I would rather go talk to the dog and sit in the corner of the room. That'd be much more comfortable. You take me to a party, I don't know people, I don't want to talk to them. Can I just go home, please? But I have taught myself, I have grown my comfort zone, I've stretched it, and I've got into the pattern. And actually, your networking, the biggest barrier for me was that I didn't let myself belong. I thought, and so this is no one else, I thought I was an outsider. When I actually let myself and allowed myself to belong, well, everyone, they're going to let you in. They're not pushing you away. So
that's really interesting. So tell me that little part when you say, when I allowed myself to belong. How did you do that?
So this is a piece of a personal transformation and growth. I realized through doing the work that I do that one of my biggest limiting beliefs, and it comes from my life story, once again, nothing bad happened to me, but that I carried this belief with me, was that I'm an outsider, I don't belong. No one did anything to me, and it was getting stronger and stronger. So I became aware of that, and I'm really making this short because I know we've got only 3 minutes. I became aware of that. I did some in-depth coaching on that with another coach that does the same as what I do, and created a new belief, which is I'm an important part, I belong. And then I have been continuously working on putting that in place. So by action. Yeah. So for me, the networking piece was just a part of that journey. Yes. And it was just recognizing that actually the only one saying I didn't belong is me. But then going out and choosing to do action, you must, take action to create a new pattern in your brain.
It's like so many people would say, when people talk about the thoughts we have and whatever, people say, well, I say I just want to be a millionaire. It's like, well, you have to go and buy a bloody ticket. If you want to win the lotto, you have to go and buy a ticket, or you have to take the action to build your business to that. I know a mentor of mine, Paul, who has built 4 multi-million-dollar businesses from the ground up. But he has often talked about, people say, well, you were a broke potter. How did you, become that? He said, I became a millionaire here. I just waited for the physical to catch up with it.
Yeah.
And it is, everything follows on from your thoughts, but it's getting the help to actually readjust and reframe those thoughts can be so powerful.
Totally. And it is, there's awareness is key. It allows you to change the pattern, but then you have to make the choice, and then it's those actions, and they're all the little ones. It's not like big
And that's
ones.
where accountability and things like that sometimes comes in helpful with a coach or mentor. Totally. To actually help you, catch you on the stuff you're not seeing yourself, because it's all unconscious at the end of the day.
Precisely.
So let me ask you, this last one is, can you share with us how people could get in contact with you should they want to?
Totally. Through all the usual channels, which are sorry, putting out myself there. Okay. Like my page, Unlocking You, which you can see, it's on the screen there, and then you can message me through there if you want. You could also email me, morgan@unlockingyou.com.au. I have a website, www.unlockingyou.com.au. There's a pattern here, isn't there? The other thing that I do is I do free solution finding sessions, which are 30-minute sessions. So, and that's all I say to people, it's all around giving them value and finding solutions. So you basically get to use my brain for that 30 minutes. And I love doing new things. So that's always a good one. And there's, excuse me, a link on my Facebook page, and you just book a spot through Calendly. So that's easy.
Beautiful. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Morgan. And as close proximity as we actually are in, I need to come up to Mundaring. Now that I'm getting my leg brace off, I can go out and do some more networking again.
Well, you just have to not actually injure yourself again.
Well, I just have to stop chasing ducks, is the truth. Because that's how I injured myself. Chasing ducks down a hill, one leg goes that way and the other one... But that's okay. But thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today, and I look forward to connecting with you further, and it's been my pleasure to actually get to know you even more today.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful week.
You too. My pleasure. Bye-bye. Bye from me.